I just saw my dad holding a shotgun and my mom,
Did you hear any shots from the shotgun before that?
Yes.
How many times?
One.
For something I didn't do, and I am not sorry for the things I did do.
This is Ronnie O'Neal, facing charges for multiple murders in Tampa, Florida. O'Neal received a hefty sentence for killing his girlfriend Kenyatta Barron and their 9-year-old daughter Ronnie Vea. He also stabbed his 8-year-old son Ronnie and set their house on fire to cover up his crimes. Fortunately, his son survived and escaped the fire. In March 2018, Kenyatta called 911 to report O'Neal's erratic behavior.
Hey, I just been attacked by some white demons inside Kiki. Kiki, her name is Kiki.
In the background.
But the call ended abruptly. Shortly afterward, O'Neal called, stating that he had killed Kenyatta because white demons inside of her were trying to kill him. O'Neal's actions in court were even more disturbing. Representing himself, he yelled at the jury and blamed the victims for his heinous acts. In a shocking display of arrogance, O'Neal declared that he was not sorry for his actions.
For something I didn't do, and I am not sorry for the things I did do.
Despite the judge reprimanding him for his disrespectful behavior. He expressed condolences for the loss suffered by the victim's family, but criticized the justice system.
But I will say, I'm sorry for your loss.
He even cross-examined his son, who bravely testified against him.
I just saw my dad holding a shotgun and my mom, and mom screaming at him.
Judge Michelle Cisco, visibly affected by the evidence, described the case as the worst she had ever seen in her 18 years on the job.
19 years I've been at this job. I've seen human beings killed at the hands of others in every way imaginable. You name it, I've seen it. Shootings, stabbings, drownings, suffocatings, blown apart by cars in DUI manslaughter cases. Horrible things. This is the worst case I have ever seen as far as the facts go.
Having witnessed various gruesome acts, the jury recommended a life sentence without parole. In the end, Judge Cisco followed the recommendation, sentencing O'Neal to 3 consecutive life sentences without parole for the murder charges, along with 30 years for arson and 30 years for each aggravated child abuse, totaling an additional 90 years in prison.
State of Florida versus Ronnie O'Neal III, case number 18 CF 4019, Division, Trial Division 1. Verdict form, death penalty. If your vote to impose death is less than unanimous, the trial court shall impose a sentence of life without the possibility of parole.
O'Neal's request for a new trial was denied. Despite his claims of being denied the opportunity to testify, and the court rejected his defense, blaming his actions on white demons.
My first, second, third, fourth, 13th, 14th Amendment rights have been violated.
Timothy DiMatteo, a 34-year-old Hollywood musician, found himself entangled in legal troubles after being accused of shoplifting nutritional supplements from Walgreens. The situation escalated when he was confronted by a Walgreens employee, leading to a scene where he cursed the employee, kicked merchandise, and damaged a 12-pack of Coca-Cola. Although he returned the stolen items, the police caught up with him in a nearby Publix, resulting in his arrest on charges of petite theft and property damage.
My first, second, third, fourth, 13th, 14th Amendment rights have been violated.
During his bond hearing before Broward Judge John Hurley, DiMatteo's courtroom conduct took an unexpected turn.
Bathroom to take a piss and wash my hands, and the manager's in there waiting for me, thinking I'm shoplifting. I wasn't shoplifting anything.
No?
No.
He vehemently claimed innocence, arguing that his rights had been violated. However, it was revealed that DiMatteo was on probation for grand theft, adding another layer to the case. As Judge Hurley attempted to discuss the facts, DiMatteo chose to express himself in a disruptive manner. His disruptive behavior led to corrections officers forcibly removing him from the courtroom. Despite his attempt to make a spectacle, the bond hearing continued without him.
Please sit down.
Your Honor.
Ma'am, I'm not having two attorneys. Please sit down.
Ultimately, DiMatteo's bond was revoked, and he was remanded into custody. The property damage charge was dismissed, but he was ordered to pay for the petite theft.
I would ask you to, as part of this sentencing, to grant me 5 minutes in the locked room of this demon.
With palpable tension and nervous energy in the courtroom, incidents like these are not uncommon, often stemming from seemingly insignificant triggers. In this case, Randall Margraves finds himself in Larry Nassar's court during the sentencing of the disgraced gymnastics doctor. Nassar has been found guilty of grooming and sexually assaulting hundreds of young elite gymnasts over 2 decades.
It has impacted women, children, and families of varying ages, races, and walks of life.
Margraves, a father of 3 whose daughters are victims of Nassar, interrupts the proceedings, expressing his desire to speak.
I would ask you to, as part of this sentencing, to grant me 5 minutes in the locked room of this demon.
Despite his calm demeanor, he starts by swearing at Nassar, earning a reprimand from the judge.
We don't want to swear. We don't want to have profanity. I can't imagine the anger.
Margraves requests a few minutes alone with Nassar, referring to him as a demon.
I would ask you to, as part of this sentencing, to grant me 5 minutes in the locked room of this demon.
The judge declines the request, emphasizing the court's policy against profanity. Undeterred, Margraves persists, asking for 1 minute with Nassar. Suddenly, he sprints towards Nassar, attempting to reach him across the courtroom table. Quick-thinking officers intervene, deflecting Margraves and preventing physical contact. Despite the chaos, Margraves maintains composure, repeating his request for just 1 minute. Officers detain Margraves, who questions them, asking what they would do in his situation. After a brief recess, Margraves returns, looking more relaxed. The judge outlines potential penalties for his behavior, but expresses understanding of his intense emotions as a parent.
He will serve 40 to 125 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections.
Margraves apologizes to the court and officers, explaining that he came to support his daughters, who have been deeply affected by Nassar's actions. Judge Cunningham accepts Margraves' apology, and no further charges are filed. Margraves, in an unexpected turn, becomes somewhat of a hero for his actions. Larry Nassar eventually receives a sentence of 165 years in federal prison for his appalling crimes, serving 40 to 125 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections.
Death to the enemies of America. Leave this country if you hate our freedom.
2 men who worked very hard to build lives, to create connections, to have love, lost their lives. And there's nothing more special than that.
You all stand together, and you stand tight, and you be vigilant.
Liar! You're not the only black person on Max. Liar!
Jeremy Christian faced charges for multiple murders in Oregon, following a racially motivated rant on a crowded train. The incident escalated when passengers, including Micah Fletcher and Taliesin Namkai Meche, confronted Christian to protect young women. Christian attacked them with a knife, resulting in the deaths of Ricky Best and Taliesin Namkai Meche, and serious injuries to Micah Fletcher. After committing the crime, Christian fled the scene but was arrested approximately 1 mile away. In court, Christian displayed erratic and disruptive behavior. During the sentencing hearing, he made derogatory remarks about the victims' mothers and expressed disturbing wishes. Judge Cheryl A. Albrecht sentenced Christian to 2 consecutive life terms, along with an additional period exceeding 25 years for his other convictions. The judge's decision aimed to ensure that Christian faced severe consequences for his actions. The case highlighted not only the gravity of Christian's crimes, but also the disruptive and disrespectful behavior he exhibited in court, causing further distress to the victims and their families.
Hello? Hello?
George Geweld Thomas facing a staggering 52 charges, including 7 murders, 3 attempted murders, racketeering, unlawful possession of firearms and ammunition, housebreaking with intent to rob, and robbery with aggravating circumstances, was a prominent figure in Cape Town's gang scene. Arrested in 2008 alongside 2 accomplices, Thomas, the leader of the notorious 28 gang, was known for his involvement in a violent gang war against the rival Clever Kids in the 26 gang. Following a shooting incident in Bishop Lavis, Thomas was allegedly found with a rifle fitted with a telescopic sight and silencer, emphasizing the gang's engagement in serious criminal activities. The violent clashes between the 28 and the Clever Kids resulted in tragic casualties, including the mistaken killing of Marvin Esterhuizen Curtis's brother. However, the shocking aspect of Thomas's story unfolded during his trial in a Cape Town High Court. Displaying a lack of remorse, Thomas turned the court proceedings into a spectacle, laughing, making finger signs, and treating the serious charges as a joke. Behind the scenes, the 28 gang, led by Thomas, orchestrated a campaign to intimidate and eliminate witnesses. A staggering 370 witnesses were lined up, some under witness protection due to threats. In the 4 years it took to complete the trial, 12 state witnesses were murdered, and there were 27 more attempted murders. The 28 gang's sinister plan was clear: to silence anyone testifying against their leader. Witness intimidation reached such an extent that one state witness stated, "If I talk, I will get shot." After a long and intense legal battle, George Geweld Thomas was sentenced to 175 years in jail. Unmoved and showing no remorse, he declared,
"Totally honest, I'm not saying I regret it because my whole life shaped the person that I am today, but what I know for a fact, if I could have changed some things, I wouldn't be here where I'm now."
Walls.
Sial Angialu, a 25-year-old member of the Tongan Crip gang, faced charges in a Salt Lake City federal courthouse. He was part of a racketeering indictment involving 17 people, facing charges of conspiracy, assault, robbery, weapons offenses, and attacks on local store clerks. Angialu, a towering figure at 6'3" and weighing around 260 pounds, was charged with assaulting 2 federal officers and threatening them with a firearm. His actions in court were shocking. During a trial recess, he grabbed a pen, charged the witness stand, and attempted to stab a fellow inmate testifying against him. U.S. Marshal intervened, shooting Angialu multiple times to prevent harm. Despite being rushed to the hospital, Angialu succumbed to his injuries, resulting in a mistrial. The judge acknowledged the impact on the jury and recognized the U.S. Marshal's use of force as reasonable. The family contested, alleging racism and excessive violence, advocating for less lethal options like tasers. An internal investigation, however, cleared the marshal of any crimes. Angialou's actions were seen as possibly fueled by loyalty to his gang.
Can't find out where you live at? What you think at? I don't about none of that. I ain't do.
Bryce Rhodes faced a litany of charges, including the murder of 3 individuals in 2016. Accused of killing 14-year-old Larry Ordway and his 16-year-old brother Maurice Gordon, Rhodes' brutality extended to witnesses. Christopher Jones, 40, was fatally shot, and Rhodes, displaying unspeakable cruelty, put a rag in his mouth, stabbed him, and inflicted further horrors on Maurice.
He put a rag in his mouth, and then he stabbed him. We moved Maurice to the side, and we brought his brother, and we put the toboggan over his head. He put the toboggan over his head and put the sock in his mouth.
The police reported that Rhodes beat and stabbed the brothers before burning their bodies. Rhodes' actions in the courtroom matched the brutality of his crimes.
You can just bring him up right here.
Why y'all have me come out like this for?
I think you know why.
What?
You know exactly why. Now,
out.
listen, stop talking. You have been...
God.
Are you done?
No, I ain't done.
You've been charged with assault in the court.
Despite being restrained with a spit mask during the trial at Jefferson District Court in Louisville, Kentucky, Rhodes remained combative, interrupting and disrupting proceedings. His unpredictable and violent behavior included threatening the judge,
Can't find out where you live at? What you think at? I don't about none of that. I ain't do.
prompting additional charges of terroristic threatening and intimidating a participant in the legal process. Despite his lawyer arguing mental incompetence, a judge ruled Rhodes mentally competent to stand trial on April 21, 2023.
Mr. Rhodes isn't just making the decision to not participate with his attorneys. I don't think that necessarily makes him incompetent.
A trial date was set for December 11, 2023. Bass Webb faced charges of attempted murder in Paris, Kentucky, following an incident where he attempted to run over 2 jail employees outside a Kentucky jail. A surveillance video captured the shocking moment when Webb, a former inmate with a 3-month sentence for assault charges, accelerated his car in an attempt to harm the jail employees. His disruptive behavior continued in court, where he spit on Judge Vanessa Dixon during his initial court appearance. After spitting on the judge, Dixon immediately ordered additional charges against Webb. Later, while awaiting trial, Webb and 4 other inmates incited a riot at the Fayette County Detention Center. Webb was shot with beanbag bullets and struck in the neck by a pepper ball during the riot. Undeterred, he proceeded to hurl a metal telephone box at a corrections officer. In a subsequent court appearance, Webb faced 2 counts of attempted murder related to the vehicular attack on jail employees and 3rd-degree assault charges for his involvement in the riot. However, the story didn't end there. 5 years later, Webb faced charges for the murder of an ex-girlfriend, Bria Rooney-Witz, from almost a decade earlier. Rooney-Witz, who was studying to become a law enforcement officer, was a Bourbon County jail employee at the time of her murder. During this court appearance, Webb showcased a shocking new appearance with sinister head tattoos. These tattoos revealed a disturbing murder hit list targeting judges, prosecutors, law enforcement officers, and the media. Despite his antics in court, the jury found Webb guilty of intentional murder. The trial provided details of how Webb choked his former girlfriend to death and buried her in a shallow grave. Webb received a life sentence with the possibility of parole after 25 years, making him a prime example of a convict acting irrationally in court.